Good morning, you amazing grade 4s. It's Madame Dussel here with you. Today I'm going to take you through another watercolor painting. Today we're going to do a field of poppies in a mixed media art kind of style. So this is kind of one that I did up just to show you. So the reason it's mixed media is because we're using watercolors in the background and for the poppies, but then we use Sharpies to finish it off. So this is kind of like a quick sketch as to what we're doing. Here's another version of it. So I'm going to show you how to do that. But before we get started, I'm just going to go over some supplies that you're going to need. So to start, you're going to need some form of paper. You're going to want a thicker cardstock or watercolor paper if you have it, or sketching paper. Regular paper isn't going to work. And then if you have painter's tape, I highly suggest that you tape it down. That'll help with crinkling and things like that of your page. If you don't have painter's tape, don't even worry about it. You just might paint on the table a little bit. That's all good. You're also going to need your watercolor pad. I'm just using the same one that we had at school this year. You can see mine's starting to get a little mixed up, and that's okay, but we're going to be using this red a lot. You're going to need a Sharpie. You can use either a thick Sharpie or a thin Sharpie. I personally like having both Sharpies to use, so there's my Sharpies. You're going to need some water, some paper towel, a paintbrush, and something to mix with. So I'm just using this mixer. You can use a plate, you can use wax paper, you can use tin foil, whatever you've got at home is perfect, okay? You will also notice that, well, you can't see it actually, but I have my hair dryer. The reason for that is that it'll just let it dry quicker so I can show you. So we're going to jump right into this. What I'm going to start by doing is mixing my colors. So I'm going to use my palette. Grab some water and some red, and I'm just going to mix it in. Now, I'm going to want a really deep red because you're going to see that we're going to be using a wet on wet technique where you use wet paint with on wet paper, and that's what's going to get us kind of this cool background. That's the mixture of the blue and the yellow and the green. So there you go. There's my red. You might want to add a little more water to it just to water it down. That's okay. But you can see that's like a pretty vibrant red. So what we're going to do is we're going to get started by actually drawing out some shapes of poppies. Now, the best part about watercolor art is it doesn't really matter if it's perfect or not. Make it as whimsical as you want. The more whimsical it is, the better, because that means that you made it, and that's just awesome. Okay? So I'm going to show you. We're going to start by doing a really big kind of like U up here, just like that. Then you're going to pick up some more paint and you're just going to fill it in. It doesn't need to be even, doesn't need to be perfect. You might have different shades of red. That's okay. There we go. What I like to do is I actually like to pick up some water, just brush it along the edge, and that kind of fades it a little bit. It looks really cool when it's done. You might want to drop some in the middle so it kind of spreads out. You'll get this kind of like cool water droplet effect that you can see up here. You can see that it's almost clear here, and then it gets darker on the edge. That's what dropping water in does to it. Then we're going to pick up some more paint, and we're going to do kind of like a wider U. We're going to make it over here, but I'm going to make it smaller. I don't want it to be as thick. I want it to be nice and thin, and we're going to do a really big open poppy here, and you can see that I have a little dot over there. That's okay. It doesn't matter. I'm going to go over it. Again, I'm going to drop some water just because I really like that effect. Okay. And then I'm going to start to do little poppies. So I'm going to do like a little red one down here. Same thing. You just like take a U. You do another one, maybe a little bigger, facing the other way. Okay. I might do one over here. You can see how I'm just like bringing my brush from the top down. That kind of gives it that water effect, and now I'm dropping in. There you go. Okay, I'm going to add one more poppy just because I really like them. I think I'm going to do it over here. Just do like a little baby poppy. So you can see it's not too thick. you go. You might want to add some more red tones in, whatever you want. Add your little droplet of water and that'll look pretty cool. So the reason why we did the red directly on this is because we really want that red to pop. If we do it on top of the watercolor that's already existing, it'll spread and it looks a little bit weird, okay? So right now this looks quite strange actually because you just have a bunch of random blobs and that's okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to dry it with my blow dryer so that it dries faster and then we're going to get started on the background. You can let yours naturally dry, you can grab your mom's hair dryer, your choice. So one thing you're going to notice is that I did actually make a mistake, and that's okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick up my red. I'm just going to make that bigger. Make it bigger. There you go. Go over it. Now my poppy is bigger, and that's okay. That is more than okay. What you want to do, you might want to pick up your extra water that you have using a corner of a paper towel, just like this. Then blow dry it. Madame will do that. There we go. Now we're going to blow dry it on low. So now the next part is the really fun part, and we're going to use a technique called wet on wet. So what that means is that you're going to wet the background, the white part, and then we're going to add paint on it. But before we do that, we're going to want to mix our colors. So I just want to show you what I'm going to use. I'm going to take my palette. I'm going to take a big thick brush that I have. If you don't have one, that's okay. And I'm actually going to pick up different types of green. So I'm going to start with the yellow though, and I'm going to mix that in. So I've got some yellow. That's awesome. We want yellow. It kind of brings out the different colors, which is cool. Then I'm going to clean off my brush. I'm going to go get some like mossy green over here. So you're going to want different shades. That's okay. So we have some green, some yellow. We're going to go get like a darker, more turquoisey green. There we go. We're going to go get like a dark, dark forest green over here. Okay. And then I'm going to actually come over here and grab some blue. So the blue looks really cool when we're done. Okay. So there we go. So now I'm all mixed up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that my paintbrush is completely clean. Okay, you don't want any color on it. And you're going to take a clean glass of water, you're going to dip in your, and you're just going to, oh, you can see that there's still some purple left over. That's okay, doesn't really matter. And you're just going to go and you're going to cover all around the poppies. Okay. Now, if the poppies bleed a little bit with the water, that's okay. You can clean it up a little bit later. But you can see how I'm just adding water to my page, just like this. And you want to get everywhere. Everywhere that is left that is not the red poppies. And you'll notice that your paper is kind of crinkling. So this one is just kind of like a watercolor paper that's from Michael's. It's not a very expensive watercolor paper, which is why it's crinkling a little bit more than the one that I did in the jellyfish video. And that's okay. So you can kind of see where I've wetted everywhere. And what you're going to do, and this is going to sound a little weird, is you're just going to pick up color and you're going to drop it on. So I'm going to start with this green, and you're literally just going to like take it around everywhere, just like this. Looks strange, but I promise you, it'll look good when it's done. And you're going to take the blue and do the same thing. And you're going to take the yellow and do the same thing. And you're going to mix it all together. So you can kind of see how my paper's crinkling pretty badly, actually. That's okay. This is very normal. Again, if you had like the cardstock paper or the watercolor paper from school, it wouldn't crinkle as much because it's actually made for There you go. Make sure you pop in the yellow. The yellow looks really nice when it's done. Okay, so I'm just going to start picking up from my palette a little bit, taking full color instead of the watercolor. I'm just going to keep dabbing it on. There you go. And again, you might choose to do different colors. You might not want the neutrals that Madame did, and that's okay. I just prefer these kind of neutrally colors because I think it makes it look like it's a stormy day, and you know, poppies are wildflowers, and I like that they grow in the middle of nowhere and they're just like beautiful. I think it makes the red really pop. So there you go. There's your background. I am just going to dry it again so that I can show you the last part of this. So now it's dry. You can let yours dry or whatever you want. And what we're going to do is we're just actually going to draw on the stems. What you're going to do is you're going to grab a really, really thin brush, if you have it. If you don't, that's okay. And you're going to pick up the darkest green that you have. Now mine's like a forest green, and you're actually not going to add that much water in. You want to make sure that it's a lot more paint than water. And what we're going to do is we're just going to draw the stems down. Now you'll notice that they kind of blend into the background, and that's okay. That's the way we want it. If your stem doesn't look perfect, that's okay too. Like, you want it to be whimsical. You can kind of see. There you go. Like, my stem's kind of even fading over here, and that's okay because you're going to be going at it with Sharpie. So what we're going to do now to kind of finish this off, and I'm sorry if we get cut off here, the screencast-o-matics only let you take 15-minute videos, is you're actually going to draw in the poppies. So we're going to start with this one. Start with the outline. That's the easiest. Make sure it's completely dry first though, or else it's actually not going to let you draw it. So there we go. And really make sure you take in the edges. If it's squiggly, then squiggly, and that's okay. There we go. So you can kind of see. So then what we're going to do is we're going to make them into poppies. Add a few dots. Add in a center. Just like that. Whatever you want. And you're just going to keep going until you have them all done. So for the bigger ones, I like to kind of put the center so it makes it look like it's open. Just like that. And you're going to keep going until you have all of them done. Now, the video is going to cut out here in about 20 seconds. So I just wanted to show you, if you do have painter's tape and you need to take it off, I want you to pull it back at a 45-degree angle, not just like rip it off. That way it doesn't rip here and you get a nice border.